Welcome back to the Yukon adventure. In this episode, we're going to continue logging by doing the looking after your own contract. We'll need to haul 7 loads of medium logs between flooded foothills and Big Salmon Peak. This is going to be a challenging contract. There will be some places we need to drive that are pretty ridiculous. Nevertheless, we'll get it done. So stick around and let's see how it goes. Let's get started, everybody. We're back at it with the Pacific P12. I did take it back to the garage and replace the tires with the OHD ones. I really wanted to give the JAT mud tires a chance on the last episode, but I wasn't very impressed with their performance. I think they're better suited for situations when we're not hauling heavy loads. We're headed back down to the logging station where we can get loaded up with medium logs. The first place we're going to go is Stevenson's house to deliver 2 loads. As you know, the road to the logging station is a muddy one, but the OHD1 tires perform pretty well. So we'll head back down this muddy road. This time we won't have the support of the big cat to help us get through here. On this trip around the map, we're definitely going to struggle with some different areas of it. The P12 is a capable truck, but it powers out on a lot of these steeper hills, and there will be some of them today. But you'll notice that I'll be driving quite a bit with all-wheel drive turned off in order to get a little extra power out of this truck. I like to think of the P12 as an alternative to the P16, but with the option to add all-wheel drive, and the P16 performs pretty well without all-wheel drive because it has so much weight. In this game, the weight is the same between the 2 trucks, and for that reason, the P12 should perform just as well, but with more options for add-ons and greater flexibility. And heading back out of here, just like last time, we're going to have to use the winch to get through these rough spots. It's kind of a pain getting through here, but once we get up to the top of the hill, it should go a lot smoother. When I get to these steep spots, I like to turn the all-wheel drive off just to get a little extra power to the back wheels, because one thing you'll notice is with the all-wheel drive turned on, none of the wheels seem to turn, but if you turn it off, then the back wheels will spin. This is our 1-year anniversary episode for the channel. I published the first episode of Michigan on October 8th last year with 0 editing experience. The first few episodes were some rough ones. If you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. I did some fat finger editing on my phone. I really had no clue what I was doing, and honestly, I still don't. I'd like to think that we've improved somewhat since then, but I'm sure a year from now, I'll look back on this and wonder what I was thinking. Either way, we'll stay the course. YouTube is a growing experience for me, and you all have been very supportive and understanding along the way. So thank you for that. Now that we broke down the 4th wall a little bit, let's get back to the episode. And when I get back up to the flat ground, I'm going to turn the all-wheel drive off again. Let's run up here and we'll get refueled, and then we're going to grab that little Dawn 71 and bring it with us on the trip. If you remember on the last episode, we dropped off the little Dawn here when we came back with the big cat, and it's for the Lonely Island task. We need to haul it up the road here a little ways. We can start tracking the task to find out where we need to drop it off, and it looks like we need to take it to Petro's house, which is about halfway down the road from where we need to turn off. So let's just disconnect the trailer here for a moment. We'll grab onto it and we'll pull it into the yard. Alright, we got Lonely Island done. Now we can switch back to the looking after your own contract. And you can see up on the top of the hill there where Mr. Stevenson's house is. We can make a mark on it. We're going to go up the hill by that brick framing, just like we did with the Paystar 5070. And this time, when we turn off by the ore sorting center, we're going to take an easier path across the river. So we can grab that trailer again, we'll get connected to it, and we'll continue down the road. We're about halfway there. When driving through these deep muddy spots, like I said before, I like to leave the all-wheel drive off and then watch the back tires. If the back tires start spinning and the truck isn't moving, then I'll kick the all-wheel drive on. If I have the all-wheel drive on and the truck isn't moving but none of the tires are spinning, then I need to turn it off because it means it's a power-related issue. This is pretty muddy through here, and having all this extra weight from the load of logs is pushing me down into it quite a bit, so I will have to winch through here. But now that I'm out the other side, it should be pretty decent from here on. There's a couple water crossings that we have to go through, but it shouldn't have any issue doing it. This contract is pretty extensive, requiring us to haul 7 loads across 2 maps. It does take a while, and making matters worse, there's some pretty steep hills that we have to climb to do it. You know the P12 doesn't like climbing hills. It's a lot like the Big Kenny in that sense, and a medium-sized truck would probably do a lot better for that part of it, but I'm using the P12 because it's going to handle these deep muddy spots a lot better. Now that we're past the ore sorting center, you can see where we need to turn off here, and I'm going to try to keep my momentum up a little bit and plow through this water. There are some big boulders through here, and there isn't really anything to winch to that's close by, so I'm trying to choose my path wisely. But as you can see, I started getting hung up here, and I guess there was a big rock that got pushed along with us that was stuck under my truck. We'll go right around the brick framing and up the back side. And this is where we found that little Scout 800 at the beginning, and we need to go up this steep hill now. This part is pretty challenging. I basically have to winch myself all the way up the hill. There's not always a convenient place for me to winch to, which makes it kind of difficult because you have to change your winch points quite a bit. There's a couple points through here where I lost some progress because the hill kept pushing me down, and the brakes don't always work that great when you have this heavy of a load on, so just be careful. We're going to take a right at this road up here at the top and winch ourselves around the corner, and once we get up over this next hump, we shouldn't have any problems from there. As you can see, my fuel is starting to get pretty low, and I would say that the biggest challenge of this part of the contract is maintaining your fuel so that we can make it all the way back to the garage before running out. With hindsight, I would say that it's probably best to run over to the gas station and get fueled up before we turn off at the ore sorting center. Now that we have those 2 loads delivered, we need to make it back before running out of fuel. So I'm going to head straight out and take a right at the road here. We haven't gone down this path yet, but it comes out down at the bottom by where we delivered the TUZ 166 for the arrogance task. There's a deep muddy spot here right at the beginning, but once we get through it, we should be able to cruise the rest of the way. We're running out of fuel pretty quickly now, so I don't want to mess around at this point. Coming out the bottom of the hill, you can see there's that frozen lake ahead, and when we came in here with the F750, we drove around the lake and followed the rock road back, but this time I'm not even going to mess around with that. I'm just going to drive right down the river. The truck is tall enough to not get flooded out, but there are some big boulders through here, so you have to be careful you don't get stuck on them and not make it through. So I'm going to try to drive with my wheels on the rocks so I don't get stuck out there. We made it out the bottom of the river. Now we just have to cruise all the way back to the garage before running out. I also wanted to correct myself. In Kola Peninsula, I made a comment about not using all-wheel drive in the Big Cat to save on fuel. but one of the viewers pointed out that the special gearboxes don't use additional fuel with all-wheel drive. And after confirming it in the game code, I realized that I had given false information. So it really doesn't make a difference if you use all-wheel drive or not on the special and advanced special gearboxes. And I'm down to 26 liters, but thankfully now that we've hit the pavement, we should be able to cruise the rest of the way back. Will we make it? And just barely, but yes we did. Let's run through the garage and get refueled quick. So yeah, fuel is definitely an issue on that part of the contract, and something you want to be aware of. Let's grab our trailer and we'll head back over to the logging station. We'll get loaded back up, and the next trip is going to be to Bill's house. Bill's house is the same place where we rescued the Kodiak, so we need to make a trip all the way across the map, all the way down to the railway station, and we'll come in the backside where we rebuilt that wooden bridge. Also, thinking back on it, I probably could have left that little Dawn for this trip to avoid wasting any fuel trying to get that thing delivered. We shouldn't have a problem on this trip because we'll be running past the fuel station and we can get topped off about halfway down, so it probably would have been best to leave that for this trip. We're back, we're reloaded, we need to make our next trip back out of here, and just like last time, we're gonna have to winch through this stuff. It's just a really nasty road. And once again, I'll turn my all-wheel drive off just to help give me a little extra power to get up this hill. When you're loaded, you really don't need the all-wheel drive that often. It's mostly when you're not loaded and you don't have the additional weight of the cargo that it's a lot more necessary to drive through these spots. The P12 has a lot better suspension travel than the P16, so it does a much better job of conforming to the terrain. We're gonna get refueled one last time. We used all the fuel out of the tanker and we're stealing some out of the Royal now just to get topped off. So as you can see, doing the work up in this corner of the map is very fuel intensive. Let's head back down the road. This time we're gonna take a shortcut through the trees. It's gonna cut down on how much mud we have to drive through. So when you get to this spot, let's just turn up left. There's a house up here with wooden framing. We can drive right into the back side of it and follow the road out, and that'll give us the option to avoid all of that mud that we had to winch through last time. The rest of this should be pretty straightforward. Like I said before, the best thing we can do is try not to drive in the same tracks twice when going through the deep stuff. It just makes it really difficult to get through. Once you get to the ore sorting center, it's pavement for most of the way, and whatever is not pavement is going to be solid ground. Next stop is the fuel station. Now that we're topped off, let's take our little trail through the trees so we don't have to drive through the flooded road. And then this time we're just going to follow right up on the top of the railroad tracks. It's pretty lopsided, and if you try to straddle the tracks, for some reason it slows your truck down to a crawl, so I would advise driving on one side or the other. And just before we get to the railway, we can turn off to the left. We're gonna go around the left side of the fence. And that wooden bridge is just up ahead. We've made it to Bill's house. Let's cruise up over the hill here and get this turned in. Alright, now that that is complete, the next 3 loads are going to be in Big Salmon Peak, so we need to get turned around. We're going to head back over there and get loaded at the logging station on that map. Now, if you didn't want to drive all the way over there, you could head back across the wooden bridge and sell this trailer off at the trailer store over at the railway station, and then you could just recover and switch maps. But if you're playing hard mode, you're not going to be able to do that, so this will be the path that you have to take. You can turn right at that intersection and it'll take you up to the gateway, but the road is kind of nasty. I really don't ever go that way. Okay, we're back to Big Salmon Peak. Let's run up to the garage. We're gonna run through it and get topped off with fuel and repair this truck. I took some damage at Bill's house, running into his barbecue grill. So we'll just make a quick pass through. And then we'll go get these loads delivered. From here, we need to head over to the log station. We're going to take the same shortcut that we've been taking. It goes up through the hills and comes down through the trees on the backside. Once we get loaded up, I'll show you how to get to Frank's house, which will be the first trip that we make. So we can turn off before we get to the flooded road. We'll go up this hill. This hill has quite a few big rocks on it that make it challenging to get up, but if you just keep your momentum up, it'll make a big difference. And then we'll cut down through the trees, using our brake to make sure we don't lose control. And right out the bottom, we're back to the logging station. We got 2 loads and we're headed over to Frank's house. So leaving here, we'll just take the same path that we've been taking. We're gonna go right past the maintenance trailer, then we're gonna turn off and take the railroad tracks up a ways. And cut through the trees and head back into the swamp. You shouldn't really have any issue driving through here with your all-wheel drive turned off. Like I said before, if you get to a point where your truck isn't moving but your tires are spinning, then that's a good time to kick it back on. Now that we're here, we can get these delivered. Let's get turned around and we're going to head back through the rolled steel factory so we can make a mark on the other side of the tracks there. And we'll drive right up this little hill and we'll have to cross the tracks. There is a deep ditch, so take it kind of slow so you don't damage your truck up too much. Now it should be a straight shot back over to the logging station from here. We'll just cruise along the side of the tracks, just like we did on our way over here, and we'll go get loaded up with our one last load. Even though we don't need the trailer for this one, we're going to bring it with, so we can sell it off when we go back by the garage. Accidentally loaded up the trailer first, so let's delete that. Then we'll get turned around. We're gonna head back over by the maintenance trailer, and then we're gonna take that deep swampy road back up to the pavement. The hunter's cabin is right up on the top of the mountain that's up close by the first watchtower that we discovered on episode 2. We can get topped off with fuel. You can also use this maintenance trailer to repair your truck if needed, and then we'll cruise back across the tracks and take a left. This is the first time that we've driven up this road. The water is really deep through here, so make sure you have a tall truck or a snorkel at least. Even though the P12 can't install a snorkel, the air intakes are high enough to get through there just fine. Then let's get these barricades knocked over. Just try not to get them stuck underneath your truck. And we'll head back up to the garage and we can sell off this trailer. Alright, this is our last load, but it's definitely the most difficult. The road going up into the hunter's cabin is really steep, and there's some big boulders and mud, so it's probably going to be the most challenging part of the entire contract. We'll head back up the ice highway. And just up here a ways, we're going to have to turn off to the left. This is where it's going to get difficult. The P12 doesn't quite have enough power to get up this first section, and the trees are too far away to winch to, so we're going to jump into that cat forklift and use that to help get us up the hill. This thing is kind of hard to control when it has four-wheel steering. The back end likes to slip around on it, but it's a pretty powerful little Scout, and the tires have a lot of grip in the mud. So what I usually like to do is get the forks pushed into the back of the P12 so I can take some weight off of the back end, which should help to get it to drive up the hill. I need to get these positioned correctly. And then I'll just run it right up along the side of the frame rails and lift up and take a little bit of weight off. After that, we can just attach a winch to the truck and the truck should drive itself while we push. Although it's not going up, so I'm going to take a little more weight off. And then it just kind of lost control and started pushing me down the hill. I'm not sure what happened there. Let's jump back into the P12. I didn't have the all-wheel drive on, that's why. Okay, we'll do it another way. We'll just connect to the forklift and use it behind us to push. And there it's taken off. I guess it helps to have an extra 4 wheels behind pushing. That little forklift is pretty powerful. I'm just going to leave it attached all the way up until I get to the top of this. So in this episode we definitely had some issues and struggles, but like I said, this is a difficult contract. We can drop that forklift here. Thanks for the assistance, buddy. I think we got it from here. We've reached the hunter's cabin. Let's get this final one turned in, and looking after your own is now complete. On the next episode, we're going to continue on with the final logging contract. It's going to be all long logs in this map, and it should be an interesting experience as well. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you all then. and thanks for watching.